Hello, I want to talk about how the Baldur's Gate 3 official modding support is just a bad thing for modding overall. First off, let me get this out of the way. No, you are not going to get any new areas. They literally say they do not support script-based modding with this, and they're deciding whether or not they're even going to allow stuff like script APIs, as it says right here, to be documented, which is the only way you would even get people to think of being able to do something like that. These official tools will in no way give you like a bunch of new content or lead to any of that. So access the editor to create your own mods. People can already do this. This will just make really basic stuff like moving a sword around easier. You know, instead of like just shoving everything in the starter chest like every mod has to currently, you will actually be able to place it in the world. Okay, that's cool, but that doesn't fucking do anything of any note. Upload mods directly to their servers. Just use Nexus. You'll be able to download it faster. It has a better sorting system. This is just a legitimate objective downgrade to the mod downloading experience. Load levels in a read-only to look at local entities. This is actually nice because if you're going to try and do anything of any note, like any kind of model or texture change, you can just quickly load it and see if it works without, you know, getting a save in that area and then seeing if everything... This just lets you have a test environment. This is nice, and the fact that this wasn't in the game at the start is worrisome, because this is something that most games that, you know, flirt with the idea of mods, they just let you do this in general without the need for a toolkit. Get access to our internal editors, blah, blah, blah. This just makes swapping textures and models easier. So again, there is no substantial gameplay changes here. This just, you know, if I want to make a robes black instead of blue or red, like the starting sorcerer robes, this would give me a really simple way to just swap that texture. Mind you, people can already do that. This just gives you an easy way to do it and then upload it. Publish your mods via the editor where it will be moderated and made visible in the in-game browser. So here's the issue. They want to make this modding available to consoles. And as you know by now, consoles fucking ruin everything. So they have to have a TOS that, you know, can't show anything or do anything that breaks copyright or goes against consoles what they're allowed. So this will only harm modding as a whole. Because if you remember what happened to Fallout modding, Fallout 4 specifically, when they first added the console modding, it was a fucking shit show. If you've ever wondered why, by the way, Fallout New Vegas, despite having a fourth as many players, gets twice as many mods uploaded routinely, whereas, you know, Fallout 4 has like Frost and the Fallout London, you could name like 20 different total conversion, like full content mods for New Vegas. You know, even though way less people play it, which means way less people should technically be modding it, the modding scene for that game is so much more active, and a huge part of that is because of the clusterfuck that was supporting console mods. It just makes modding harder for everyone else. Anyway, mod UIs through file editing. This is like the only thing that they're adding that is actually good and people have wanted and asked for. And then within Baldur's Gate 3 itself, you'll be able to download your mods. Again, who gives a fuck? You can already do this. You're not adding anything new. You are just trying to streamline something for people who probably shouldn't be modding in the first place. Because if you are a dumb enough fuck that downloading a file, dropping it into a folder in the game's directory is too difficult for you, then you probably shouldn't be modding at all. You know, and trying to like bubble wrap modding to where that kind of person is able to do it and not completely break their game. That's like trying to get a dog to drive a car. It's just not a good idea. Like, sure, you can, you know, change it and edit it to make it as friendly and accessible as possible, but you're just giving people the tools to break things. Anyway, manage multiplayer and save game files through a verification UI. This is really vague, and, you know, just like this is also really vague. Like, we don't know everything that this means, but from what they've shown of the editor, it just seems like editing the scene. Like, at most, the most impactful gameplay thing that we've seen through this so far is, like, you can drop in new enemies and, like, determine what loot they have. Okay. Who gives a fuck? Like, sure, maybe you can add some encounters where there weren't any before, but then that just ruins the game balance by, you know, changing the optimal routing and the EXP and all that. So really, and then considering that this has to be reviewed. Okay, so now is when I get into my little personal rant about this. As someone who's made mods and had to deal with sanctioned mods in Vermintide and Deep Rock, sanctioned modding is like, it's corporate modding. It's modding that the corporation approves of. So first and foremost, this doesn't support script mods. Right here, what mods won't be available? And certain script-heavy modifications may not be supported. So this is exactly the problem. If you think you're going to get like an upper city through this mod support like toolkit, you are delusional. They are not supporting script heavy mods, and you cannot make an entirely new area like that without scripts. I can shoot those ideas down right now. That's not going to happen. At best, you'll see them just reuse, because the editor just lets you reuse assets that exist within the game. It doesn't let you add or create or do anything new. All you can do is like just amalgam things that already exist to try and make a new adventure with, which is going to get really bland and feel really shitty really fast. And then right here, I want to do things your modding pipeline doesn't support. How will mod.io handle unsupported mods? Changes that won't be officially supported within our pipeline, like scripting changes. So right here, so early on, they try to tamper the blow by saying, well, you know, more script, but we're gonna, you know, blah, blah, blah. But then this is where they just take the mask off. Scripting changes, flat out. They are saying right here, their pipeline does not support scripting changes. Not script heavy. No. If you try to change any actual game mechanic or how the game works, or try to add anything that is completely brand new, this pipeline is not going to support that. So let's just get that out of the way right now. That wouldn't pass the moderation process due to platform-specific restrictions. Again, consoles fucking ruin everything. The whole reason they're taking this stance is twofold. One, Wizards of the Coast doesn't want any mods that would cause copyright problems or break the believable world of D&D, you know, the Forgotten Realms. They also do not want anything that will go against console TOS. So again, copyright and consoles fucking killing creativity and everything forevermore. You know, maybe one day, 1,000 years from now, we won't have to deal with these arbitrary restrictions. May still be packed locally within mod.io's toolset and uploaded to other mod distribution platforms. Okay, but so are you telling me that if I want to upload a mod to the fucking Nexus, I still have to go through your pipeline, which you're telling me is not going to be supported? Like, are you telling me you're trying to clamp down on modding that is completely outside of your pipeline, your platforms, your everything? This just reeks of, we want to control the mods that people see. And I imagine a big part of this is because half of the mods for this game are just NSFW mods, because they went way too hard on the horny characters, the bad, like, sexual writing. And it led to a fan base that is just drooling fucking 16-year-old boys. So you go on the front page of Nexus and half the mods are like, here's, you know, Carla with fucking triple G cup breasts. But then, like, right here, as a Dungeons & Dragons games licensed by our partners has certain guidelines in place to ensure the integrity of the game's universe. So, like, right here, you have a corporate suit that doesn't give a fuck about anything and has never played any games in his life, deciding what modders are allowed to do for the integrity of the IP. And then, you know, like right here, on PC, general stability and TOS checks will be carried out before a mod becomes available, blah, blah, blah. And then that shit is going to have to be cross-compatible with the console TOS and console stability and all this shit. And it's like, the worst part about this is what we have currently is fine. I make a mod, I upload it to the Nexus. It's the person who's downloading it responsibility to, you know, make sure they aren't a fucking idiot. And it's just, oh my god, just this curation. Like, here's the other thing. With a game as popular as this, you're telling me you're gonna have a human manually curate the mods? They're gonna have to play, like, do you realize what that means? That means they're going to have to download the mod, play through it to make sure you didn't sneak in something that breaks the TOS or violates the integrity of the IP, whatever the fuck that means. They're going to have to play through it, check every change. And mind you, Nexus gets like hundreds of mods for this game added every single day. Are you seriously going to tell me that you're going to, have 20 people on duty to check every mod? No, this is going to go down the same way as Vermintide sanctioned modding did. They're going to get absolutely swamped with mods. They're going to say, why the fuck are we paying people like effectively 500 grand a year to just quality ensure this stuff? You know, the whole department. when we could just have one guy spend all of his time slaving through this at a jackrabbit's pace, and then that guy's gonna get burned out and he's gonna lose interest and it's gonna slow down to a crawl. I already know what's gonna happen, because that's what happened in Deep Rock Galactic. That's what happened in fucking Vermintide. It happens every time these games try to do this. These big companies try to do this shit. At first, it goes pretty well. Then they get overwhelmed. Then as they get overwhelmed and they aren't seeing the results they want, middle management steps in and is like, yeah, we realized we could make more money for the CEO if we just cut this department. So how you started with 10 guys, now you're down to 3. And then a year later, they'll get so swamped, they'll have a backlist of months and they'll say, hey, you guys just aren't working fast enough. We're going to put this on a single person skeleton crew. And then it's like, oh, well, there you go. And then are you going to support this 20 years from now? You know, like, what happens when you inevitably, it's completely unprofitable to support this and you can't do it anymore, you know, and you stop the official pipeline. And now the game is just unmoddable. This is effectively the same thing as, like, what's going on with the crew, but now they're trying to introduce that same level of, like, effectively DRM and the ability to just turn it off for mods. Partly because, and I think a huge part of this is because Wizards looked at the modding page, saw that a lot of it was just sexual mods, and they were like, oh my god, this gives us a bad look. What do you mean? People are modding in copyrighted works into our game, and they're making the setting look less believable? Meanwhile, Shadowheart looks like a prostitute? Oh my god, shut it down! Shut it down! Clean it up, Janny! But they're not providing any actual modding support that would allow for any, like, great, crazy mods. You know, at best, you know, basically, the way you think about this shit is, if anyone is able to make anything new and high quality with this, you better praise the fuck out of them, because they made magic out of mud.